line right there, some of these little storms, in case they try to briefly rotate, that's just totally a non-zero risk. We'll keep an eye on that overnight tonight as well. But again, a good soaking across the area. But what we want to do right now is we had Taylor there in the first alert storm tracker, but we want to check out Taylor right now. I know earlier you could see the changes and just how rapidly that heavy rain started falling, and we started seeing those driving conditions going downhill.
Oh, you bet, Wes, and we're seeing another one of those rapid changes right now. I think last time we checked in, the rain had kind of let up a little bit, but I mean, here's a look at those road conditions right now. The rain is coming down pretty heavy again. I mean, it can happen just like that, you know. We're on I-2059 right now, kind of going over the Fairfield area on our way back to Birmingham. And earlier, when you last checked in, we were on our way to Bessemer to check out a report of some possible flooding there. And some good news to report, we really didn't see anything too concerning. There was a little bit of a puddle, really, of water in that area of Powder Plant Road, and I think it was 5 Star Parkway. But really nothing that would be impacting traffic there, so that's good. That was a report that ended up being nothing to be too concerned about. Something that you might want to be concerned of, though, is if you're in the Kimberly area, the Doss Ferry Parkway and Mosley Loop Road and Doss Drive, there is a tree down, and officials are working there right now to remove that tree. So if you're headed to that area, trying a different route, try to avoid that area is what those officials are asking us. Like I mentioned, we are seeing a lot of rain right now. We have seen so much rain throughout the day, and with that flooding, EMA officials have been urging you, reminding you of that old saying, turn around, don't drown. I spoke with Jim Coker with the Jefferson County EMA earlier this week. He said there's a reason that saying has been around for as long as it has been. It's a good saying. If the water looks too risky, don't try crossing it in your car. If it's an area that you know is prone to flooding, just don't chance it. Just find a different way to get to wherever it is that you're heading. You know, Jim Coker also told me it doesn't take too many inches of water to move a car. So just something to be aware of as you're driving, and to just also be extra careful when you're driving on all of these roads. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that the road in front of me is so slick right now. And I actually want to show you, if we can pull this video up. This is from earlier today around noon. We were in Tuscaloosa County, Duncanville to be exact, and we were just minutes behind a car actually sliding off of the road and down a very steep hill. I thankfully was able to check in with Tuscaloosa County's EMA director, and he told me that driver was okay. Actually, all that they needed was help getting out of the car because it had gone down such a steep hill, but they are okay tonight. But it is just a really great reminder to be extra cautious as you are out and about on this Friday night driving. We really just can't stress it enough. Everybody by now that's been watching us has seen those images coming out of downtown Birmingham. Just don't risk it. Turn around, don't drown. It's a great saying. It's been around a long time for a reason. We'll continue bringing you updates as we make our way back into the Metro Birmingham area. For now, your reporter live in the Storm Tracker, Taylor Pollock, WBRC 6 News on your side.
Well, flooding causing this mail van to get stuck earlier today. This was on County Road 702 in Coleman County. We're told this area is known to flood, but usually not this bad. The van has been removed, and it's unclear if anyone was injured. And just stay safe out there tonight. A lot of rain, a lot of trouble spots where we've had some clogged drains, things like that. And the heaviest of the rain has slid a bit further south. There are a couple of pockets that we are watching. It's really been coming down across Chilton County here. Actually, Jeremy, let's go into Chilton County. I want to go in for a closer view, and then we'll take it into Bibb County as well. But you see an area you might get a rumble of thunder. It looks like one lightning strike, but just some heavy rain now about about to move in. That looks like it's going to be around Isabella. We can stop the clock on there, stop that play mode, and that'll show Isabella around 6:38. Collins Chapel Fire Department around 6:48 as well. So 6:49 around the UAB St. Vincent's there in Chilton County. That's just north of the Jefferson State campus there in Chilton County. But a lot of rainfall, and that's impacting folks trying to get south there on 65. There's another little cell about to cross Highway 5. Nothing severe at the moment, but more heavy rain. It's about to pick up again. You'll probably hear it on the rooftop if you're watching me around Brent and north towards Eolin. You can see this has it around the Bibb County High School at 6:46, so close to moving across Bibb County High School, and this will pass there between Woodstock and Centerville, crossing Highway 5, but it's headed towards Shelby County. But more of these cells just training, as we call it. It's like a train track, right? They just move along the same area, and all these are oriented. Look at this, just moving from south, west to northeast, and this is what we've been talking about here on Weather Extra throughout the week, is this line would move in and just really slow down and come to a stall, and now it's going to all start to move north overnight. And the big concern out of this, I just want to stress this, is it's the rain, not really a major tornado threat. Even it's a first alert weather day for a flood risk. I want you to know that. And through tomorrow morning, that is the biggest threat out the door. Tonight, I wouldn't lose sleep over a major tornado risk or anything like that. If there's a risk for a storm that may try to briefly rotate, the rains helped us with that threat overnight, but we need to watch it down into the far southern part of the coverage area. Let's go back over to next 24 hours. I'll walk you through forecast data and you'll see what we're talking about. And it's interesting here, the models yesterday, it kind of painted the heaviest of the rain further south. Now it looks like the heaviest rain, where we might see some of those peak totals right along Interstate 5920. Just a good old soaking there tonight and through the early morning hours. And then south of this, if it does manage to move far enough to the north, we might get a pocket in here where there might be a brief severe weather window early tomorrow morning. So overnight, early tomorrow, this starts around 2 a.m. Some of these storms to the very far south might try to clip our southern counties. We just need to keep an eye on that. But you go just north of there, and it's really coming down with the heavy rain. I'm hopeful that this will set up even further south tonight. I mean, we want everybody to get a little bit of rain. Of course, we need the rain, but we don't want any flooding issues. But it would be nice to see the more unstable air. I'd like to see that just a little bit further south before I could sound the all clear for the overnight hours. But there's 4 o'clock in the morning, and that heavy rain along I-5920. And then by 6 o'clock in the morning, here we go. It finally starts to get that kick off to the south and east direction. But look at Shelby County around 6 o'clock in the morning. If you were thinking about maybe a Saturday morning walk or run, yeah, it is going to be really coming down there. Same for Bibb County as well. Maybe some loud rumbles. Talladega County, there's St. Clair County, maybe from Leeds to Pell City and Anniston around 6 o'clock in the morning. But by 8 o'clock, you can see it's out of Tuscaloosa. We're starting to see some nice improvements there across west Alabama. Coleman, back to Aniana. Looks like that heaviest rain south of us. Gadsden, steadier rain is south of us, and might end up with some gusty winds here. Need to really watch it from that Montgomery to Auburn corridor down into South Alabama as that line continues off towards the southeast. There's 8 to 9 a.m. And then behind this, maybe some leftover scattered showers that may stick around with the clouds during the afternoon. But again, that rain still coming down. Of course, we're going to walk you through the full 10-day forecast and talk about next up the big topic, when to expect some colder weather. We're going to have that for you as we continue right here on Weather Extra. Welcome back in. A lot of rain showing up on radar across the area. Clinton, Ashland really coming down in those areas. But Birmingham, we have this flash flood warning set to expire here coming up at 6:45. In 2 minutes, okay. So it looks like it's still going to expire here at 6:45. But the rainfall, as you can see, it's still coming down. It's just not quite as heavy as what we saw earlier. Clearly, the heaviest, higher rainfall is now from Anniston, Talladega, back to Clinton. But that will start to slide north, so we got to watch it later on tonight. If you've already encountered some issues nearby where you are from flooding, and just know that those conditions could start to deteriorate again during the overnight hours. But what a rain event. I mean, we are covered up across Alabama, and you know, for a lot of us, this has just been a good soaking. I mean, no severe storms so far today. It is a first alert weather day, but I'm still thinking the biggest issue out of this is going to be the wet weather and rainfall impacts, some wet roads, and again, that risk for some flooding in a few spots. But notice if you look at the radar estimates where we've had the big flooding, you've been seeing some of those pictures coming in from Birmingham. Well, the radar is estimating around 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rainfall, but further north around Jasper, you can see over 2 inches of rain. So it's all about how quickly that falls and causes some problems there. But Jasper, we've had a lot of rain earlier today when we were tracking that on Good Day, Alabama. And actually that little swath of heavier rainfall, that extends from near Jasper back into southern Fayette County. So there's an area, once some more rain starts to pick up later on tonight, if we get a storm or two in there, just be careful early Saturday morning. There's probably going to be some creeks and streams in here where that water is going to be high and elevated. So be safe out there early tomorrow morning. I know it's time of year. A lot of folks are enjoying the outdoors. A lot of seasons still in place. And if you had a trip planned early tomorrow morning, you just need to be careful out there early in the day. Storms and rain likely overnight tonight. We can right click or just hit clear. Jeremy will take some of this off the screen here off the top. And what we're going to be seeing as we move through the overnight hours is mostly a lot of rain and storms, but to the far south there might be a risk for a couple of strong to severe storms. Let's break out the big picture here as we zoom out across multiple states, and you can see that there's plenty to come here for the overnight. We got this boundary that is stalled out, and what's going on right in this region, there's a little bit of a warm front. It's going to try to lift its way back north tonight, so we have to keep a close eye on that. And what's doing that, we got a low pressure system to the north that's pulling that, drawing that north, that warmer sector, and it's sort of a battle that will go on later on tonight. We'll see if that can make its way further north. So the temperatures really won't change much. They may actually go up a degree or two as the night goes on and this moves north. But there was one tornado warning earlier I noticed over central Louisiana. I saw that. I said, yeah, still got to watch this for the overnight. Now there's a severe thunderstorm warning in central Louisiana. So far for us today, though, we haven't seen a whole lot. But we'll keep an eye on things tonight as that heavier rain backs into the north and back into Alabama. So over to the current radar, and this is an animation. Just put things into motion over the past several hours, and just slow and steady for the wet weather. Now East Alabama's in on the rain. It took a little while to get here to some of these eastern counties, but Anniston and Oxford and back into parts of Clay County really coming down in here. You can see from Talladega back to Sylacauga, Goodwater, Talladega Springs. Look at this. It's just hardly moving. It's been a while, right, since we've seen a setup like this across the area, but that rain just slowly moving on through. And again, we'll see more of this. These are not tornado warnings. Those are flash flood warnings you see there across South Mississippi. But this is an area that's about to start lifting north in here. If you're watching me in Pickens, Greene, Sumter counties, those are all storms right here. So we'll be watching for that to sort of lift north. Demopolis and points north, we might hear a few rumbles as this continues in. But that's a look at the radar. If you have our First Alert weather app, you'll get those lightning proximity alerts if some storms do pop up this evening. But just be careful out there. Some breaks around Tuscaloosa and areas north, but more of that rain will fill in. This is the IBM model. Actually, this is the HRRR model for the overnight. So some high resolution data. That's 11 o'clock tonight. Notice how it really starts to fill in again. And look at that. 3:30 in the morning. We are just covered up with the heavy rain, some loud rumbles down towards Clinton. You can see some heavy rainfall, and this is that area to the south. We'll keep a watch on this in case there are a couple storms that may try to rotate a little bit to the far south. Further north, though, I'll probably see that heavier rain out of here by 6, 7 o'clock, and then Some leftover showers. There's 11:30 in the morning. You can see the rain. It just doesn't totally get out of here. Maybe a couple showers is probably tomorrow night before we can say goodbye to all the wet weather. But we do stay mostly cloudy into the afternoon. And then let's talk long range forecast here. And notice we have 67 for a high tomorrow. We'll say goodbye to those upper 60s and 70s for quite some time. We're about to get into January mode here with the weather. Sunday and into Monday, highs in the 40s. Sunday is going to be windy and cold. So that 47, it's going to feel a lot colder. Winds could gust up to 30 miles per hour. So be ready for a windy day and a colder day Sunday, but 26 degrees. Here's Monday morning. Lows down into the 20s to start the day. 23 at Anniston, 26 at Birmingham, 27 degrees around Tuscaloosa. It looks like Tuesday morning back to freezing, but we'll see highs in the 50s. And then Wednesday, it gets cloudy again. Another front moves into the area, and we have 53 degrees there for a high temperature, but there is a front. Let me show you this. That's going to bring a chance for some showers. I know Tania earlier this week was talking about a small chance of rain around the middle of the week. We were seeing that in some of the data, and then we kind of took it, lowered the chance. Well, now it's back, and around the middle of the week, a chance of rain comes in. But what's interesting is we might see what we call an upper low develop as a cold air digs in on the back side of this, which would happen around Wednesday night and into next Thursday. If that happens, you can see over here the models are wanting to generate one of these East Coast systems with maybe some wraparound cloud cover and moisture. Just wouldn't surprise me if we saw maybe a little bit of rain and maybe a couple of flurries mixing in to across North Alabama before this comes to an end. We have a high of 42 Thursday, but need to watch it there during the morning. But it's back into the 20s a week from today for overnight lows with highs in the 40s. So there's the next 7 days. We give you the 10-day forecast here, and you can see Saturday and Sunday leading into MLK Day. So as we go beyond the next 7 days on the 10-day forecast, that Saturday we have 48 degrees, and notice once again a chance that we might have maybe a close call with some wintry precipitation over North Alabama. So it's certainly looking more like a wintry setup in that long-range forecast, more interesting down the road, a lot that we will be tracking. But we certainly have plenty to track out there tonight with all that heavy rain moving across the area. Again, we'll take you back to another live look. That is Bessemer right now. Be careful out there on this wet, rainy Friday night. Temperature right now around 63 degrees. A flood watch in effect throughout the day on Saturday. It is a first alert weather day. Check the first alert weather app, and don't forget, if there's ever active weather, if we're ever on wall to wall, you can always find us on your favorite iHeart radio station across the state. More first alert weather extra after the break. Okay, well, earlier tonight we were telling you about the flash flooding in Birmingham. That flash flood warning has expired at this time, but we had a lot of scenes coming in earlier, some of that flooding. Let's take you back to the developments that happened over Birmingham.
Who's in downtown Birmingham right now?
Yeah, your reporter James Giles bringing those images that you see of cars stopped in the water there in a heavily affected area right now. James, what can you tell us what you're seeing now?
Hey guys, I've been out here about maybe 30 to 45 minutes and it is a mess. I don't know if you can kind of see those power lines right there. But there's really no way to gauge how deep this water is. It's kind of it's on 34st Street North. It's kind of an incline or decline rather. As you can see, about three vehicles are kind of stuck in this water. We saw tow trucks in and out trying to pull some of those vehicles out, and we actually saw before you came to us a GMC pickup truck just made the trudge through this water. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you drive like a car or a normal sedan SUV type vehicle, just because there's no way of gauging that. We spoke with AAA Alabama earlier, who the guidance from them is you don't want to try to take the chance driving through this. There's no way of knowing if the road underneath this water is washed away. There's also the risk of drowning. The road is blocked. Again, we're along 31st Street North. If you can see the kind of the police vehicles here, as well as one of the barricades they have. And one of those officers, before you guys came to me, we were just kind of chatting before we got on air, and he was telling me he's taken several calls of flooding in this area. At one point it was so bad that the vehicles that were parked kind of in these yards over here had eventually began to float in the water due to how high that water was. And again, this is along 31st Street North. If you don't have to get out in this, I wouldn't recommend it, just because you don't want to end up like these folks. Fortunately, we were kind of here hanging out with the owner of these vehicles, who seemed to be in good spirits. They weren't too happy about getting stuck, but at least they got out alive. Of course, again, take it easy, stay in the house if you can. But we'll send it back to you guys in the studio. In the meantime, your reporter in downtown Birmingham, James Giles, WBRC 6 News, on your side.
What a mess.
Okay, and again, those were scenes from earlier in Birmingham, and that flash flood warning has expired. But we show you that because more rain is on the way, and we'll have to watch later on tonight for that heavier rain as it lifts north into the Birmingham area. You see, it's all starting to line up, so we have a long ways to go. Just stay weather alert tonight. That first alert weather day that we've declared, that will carry over into Saturday morning. The big issue will be the threat for localized flooding tonight. Let's get you over here to the 10-day forecast. After that, our attention turns to colder and drier by Sunday and Monday. Highs in the 40s, lows in the 20s, and then you can see Wednesday and Thursday and next week a chance for showers. Maybe our first chance of seeing a few snow flurries by the middle of next week. So a lot that we are tracking will be right here for you, and our coverage continues on the digital side. If you follow on our streaming channels, meteorologist Harmony Mendoza also joining us there with updates, and we'll have those starting at 7 o'clock on the streams, and we'll be right here on WBRC tonight at 9.